Have you ever been out there on a piece of land and just felt that something was off? I mean, the lab reports, they all come back looking fine. The pH is balanced, your NPK levels look good on paper, but the ground itself, it just feels quiet. The crops look a little pale, and you realize you're spending more and more each year just to stay in the same place. Well, let's dive into that feeling, because it's not just in your head. It's real. It's in the soil.
And that feeling, it really points to a fundamental shift in how we see things. And this quote just says it all. For decades, the whole story has been about control, right? About dominating nature to get what we want. But what if the path forward isn't about control at all? What if it's about care, about devotion?
This is the symptom so many farmers and growers are feeling right now. It's this silent exhaustion. And look, this isn't about pointing fingers. Farmers did what they were told, what progress promised. But that progress came with a hidden cost, and now the land itself is showing us the bill.
Now, this is a really crucial point. We're not just dealing with simple contamination. We're talking about something called chemical fatigue. And that distinction is so important. This isn't about a specific poison that you need to remove. It's about an absence. Life itself has been worn out. So our job isn't cleanup, it's resurrection.
This right here highlights this wild paradox. On the left, you've got soil that aces its lab tests, but it won't grow a thing. On the right, you have soil that might look messy, maybe even dirty, full of life, but it is pulsing with fertility. You see, our standard soil tests, they measure chemistry, not biology. They tell you what's in the pantry, but they can't tell you if anyone is home to actually cook the meal.
So, how did we even get here? Well, decades of different applications have created what the source material calls a layer cake of harm. It's not just one thing. It's chemicals like glyphosate that literally lock away nutrients, atrazine that hangs around for years suppressing the soil's heartbeat, and systemic pesticides that turn the plants themselves into poison. And it all leads to the same cascade effect. The soil structure collapses, air can't get in, and the life within it just suffocates.
And this just says it perfectly. This wasn't one big event or one single chemical. It's been a slow, cumulative process. 1,000 little cuts over so many seasons that have led to this deep, systemic exhaustion we're seeing today.
So that brings us to the most important question of all. If the numbers on a piece of paper can't give us the full picture, then we need a new way of understanding what's going on. We have to learn to listen to the land itself, to learn its language. And you know what? The tools for this are so much simpler than you might think. This isn't about buying expensive equipment. It's about using what you already have. Your shovel, that becomes your stethoscope, letting you listen to the soil structure. Your hands, your nose, your eyes, these become your most accurate instruments of truth.
So what are these signs? What are we actually looking for? Well, when you dig in, how does it feel? Does it crumble in your hands like chocolate cake? Or does it clump up like concrete? What do you smell? A living soil has that incredible, sweet, earthy scent after a rain. That's geosmin, a compound made by living bacteria. What do you see? Maybe you'll find those fine white fungal threads? That's the nervous system of the soil. Even the weeds are talking to you. Plants like dock, they show up specifically to drill down and break up compacted ground.
Now this is a total game changer. Instead of seeing weeds as the enemy, we can start to see them as messengers, as nature's first responders. They show up for a reason. They're telling you what the soil needs. Maybe it's aeration, or maybe it's a specific mineral they're pulling up from deep down. They aren't warnings to spray, they're invitations to a much deeper conversation.
Okay, so once we've learned how to listen, how do we act? Well, the guide lays out a really clear 4-phase strategy for resurrection. Think of it as a journey over several years. You start by just waking the soil up. Then you rebuild its ability to feed itself. Then you deepen the complexity of the life within it. And finally, you let biology take the wheel and drive production.
Now listen, this is probably the most critical piece of advice for anyone starting out on this journey. You have to manage your expectations. Year one is not about what you can harvest. It's about one simple thing: breath. You are just trying to reestablish the most fundamental process of a living system. You're coaxing a sleeping organism back to life.
And this timeline here shows you how it unfolds. In year one, you're just focused on getting air and some pioneer microbes back into the system. In year two, you're basically teaching the soil how to eat again, rebuilding its metabolism with more complex cover crops and fungi, and then by years 3 to 5, something incredible starts to happen. The system starts to manage itself.
That first year or two, it can feel like you're working in silence. You're putting in the effort, but it's hard to see the results right away. But then, if you're patient, the vital signs of a living ecosystem begin to reappear. The feedback loop starts, and the land begins talking back to you in a language of health.
And what are those vital signs? They're the same things we learned to look for at the very beginning. That beautiful, cake-like texture. The sweet smell of geosmin after a rain. You'll see the earthworms come back, a sure sign of oxygen and moisture. You'll notice that rain no longer runs off the surface. It just soaks right in with this quiet hush. And the soil itself will literally get darker, richer, as it rebuilds carbon and life.
This chart shows the return on your investment perfectly. Your effort is highest in year 1, right? When you're actively reintroducing life through things like inoculation and mulching. But as the soil's own systems come back online, your role completely changes. Your effort goes down dramatically until you're spending most of your time just observing, in partnership with a system that now runs itself.
And that's the whole goal. You move from being a manager who's constantly intervening to being a partner. You're participating in a living system, not trying to impose your will on a dead one.
And that really gets to the absolute heart of it. This isn't just about adopting a new set of farming techniques. It's about reestablishing a connection that we lost along the way. It's a reunion between us, the soil, and that vast, invisible world of life that's always been right under our feet.
And when you take part in that reunion, something really profound shifts inside you. You start to see that the old story of ownership, it was all backward. The land doesn't belong to you, you belong to it. You're just a steward for a brief moment in its very, very long life.
In the end, the knowledge of how to heal is already stored in the earth itself. The soil remembers. So the only real question left is for us. After all these decades of talking, are we finally ready to just get quiet and listen?